Changes are coming and soon for the Montreal Canadiens as we get multiple injury reports today, including one where Montreal needs a boost the most heading into their next game. We're going to dive into all of that. Plus, Gorton speaks out and reveals his real thoughts on the Ivan Demidov situation, and he speaks out a little bit on the KHL and the lack of minutes for the Habs' young prospect. Plus, we have to finally talk about the Athletic, and in a recent redraft of 2022, it leaves a certain Hab very high on the list, but another one with a lot left to be desired. So we're going to get into all that coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. We're going to dive straight into it, and I want to start with the redraft now. This comes from Corey Pronman, and if you're a frequent viewer of the channel or you're on Twitter, you're on this stuff a lot, you might have an idea of where this is about to go. And nothing against Corey Pronman. Honestly, this is a fantastic article. All this stuff takes so long to do, and I will link it down below. Please go show him the credit that he deserves. But I want to go through some of the Habs that are in this list. Like, a guy like Filip Mesar, who straight up doesn't appear in the top, I think, 115 people that they ranked. So, that's something. Though he hasn't produced very well, he's off to a hot start this season. But let's start with the guys that were ranked. And the first guy, of course, the tier 1, the clear best player in the draft, the guy who clearly goes number 1 in the redraft is Juraj Slafkovsky, the only guy projected to be an NHL All-Star level player. They don't quite give him that superstar moniker, but to be fair, no one else in this draft is ranked higher. So, look, I think as Habs fans, we all very much agree on this. I think even fans of Utah or someone, or whoever has Logan Cooley, right? Whether you want to say Arizona, Utah, it is what it is. But I think that's fair as well. Like, Juraj has shown so much at the young age that he's shown. Not going to spend too much time on this because we all know and love Juraj Slafkovsky. We all know and love Slavzilla himself, and he more than deserves to be here on this list. But it's when we get beyond Juraj Slafkovsky at number 1 that things start to get a little questionable. So the first thing I'm going to show you is skip tier 3. There's no one really of interest in tier 3. Well, there are some actually players in tier 3 that might interest you, but not for the purposes of this video. What I want to first show is tier 4, which is a bubble top and middle lineup level player. So this is a guy that could be right at the top of your lineup, but is more likely to be in the middle of the lineup. So, there are some interesting names here. You see, like, Simon Nemec, the guy who was number 2 overall in the draft. They only have him as a bubble top of the lineup player, not even in that bubble star tier at all. We got guys like Cutter Gauthier, Kevin Korchinski, who has looked really good for Chicago. There's an interesting one here in Maverick Lamoureux, and in his age 19 and 20 season in the QMJHL, Maverick Lamoureux put up under a point per game, 33 points in 39 games, though he is 6'7", so he's a bit bigger and gets the Corey Pronman bump, but there's a guy that you might notice is missing, and no, he was not in tier 3. He's down in tier 5, a middle of the lineup player, not even a bubble top of the lineup player, not even a guy that's pushing, knocking on the door of a top of the lineup player. Lane Hutson comes in at number 15, below even guys like Brad Lambert, Connor Geeky, below Maverick Lamoureux. Look, I'm not going to hate on Maverick Lamoureux. I think he's really interesting. He's starting in the AHL this year. I believe it's with Tucson. I could be wrong. I think it's Tucson. I think that's still Utah's farm team. He's 6'7", but he just doesn't have that scoring ability yet. So anyway, we'll just see. But Lane Hutson, yes, he jumps up more than any other player in this whole draft, I believe, from number 62 to number 15. However, 15 to me still feels low. Look, I'm not going to go on a 5-10 minute rant about why Lane Hutson should be higher. I know Corey Pronman has his reasons for ranking Lane Hutson lower, and he dives into them a little bit here, basically saying he's hotly debated, right? He's outstanding in college. Some people see his elite hockey sense and skill, think he could be a very good NHL defenseman. Others look at his small frame and lack of stand-up mobility and wonder if he'll even be able to defend in the NHL. I've come around to the idea he could be a top 4 type, but he may have to be used in an extremely specific way. Now, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and I will assume a lot of this work was done before we saw Lane Hutson in the NHL. So I don't know if that's true, but I can only assume it is, because we have already seen the NHL have to adapt to him to some extent, and even his own Montreal Canadiens teammates have had to adapt to him. The chances he creates on offense, not to mention being a positive defender, at least individually. His defensive partners have not given him a whole lot to work with, minus Cayden Guhle. I don't know. I could go on for ages about this, but you guys know our feelings about Lane Hutson here on the show, so it is what it is with him, but let me know your thoughts on this down below. I mean, I think you're all going to say he's too low, but call out some of the names above him that you really think he should be above, because I think that's what we got to do in this kind of exercise. You see a certain guy, you know for sure Lane Hutson should be above them. Now, I have him much higher on this list. Tier 3 for sure. I could see the argument for not putting him in tier 2, but anyway, I think we'll move on past that. But the next thing I wanted to talk about in this video is Gorton. So, Gorton, he's been talking all over the place recently. He was on TSN 690, I believe, today. And Strombo was on it this morning. George Strombolopoulos, loyal subscriber to the channel. Thank you very much. Listen to a bunch of this stuff, but that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about Gorton on L'Antichambre now DS just yesterday. And he gave his unfiltered thoughts. Maybe filtered a little bit, but maybe more unfiltered than we have heard so far from Gorton on the whole Ivan Demidov situation. And if you've been following the channel, if you've been following the Habs, well, you know that he's certainly not getting the minutes we would want. And when he finally got minutes last game, he scored. So, we'll have to keep an eye on it. But Jeff Gorton had this to say. Because of the situation in the KHL not having an agreement with the NHL, we can't just end Demidov's contract anytime we want. Everyone thinks we can buy him out of his contract. It's not realistic. That's the thing. You have to come to an agreement with the KHL team. You have to have your NHL and KHL team come to some kind of agreement that you both agree on to terminate the contract, send him over. There's more. It's more than just Jeff Gorton going there saying, I will buy his contract right now. He can't do that. But he goes on to say that what we've seen, what you see with his ice time dipping. We are in contact with the SKA and they know how we feel. This is the number one reason why when we have a player like that, you want to sign him and get him over here and control of it right away. So this, this is pretty cool to hear because I feel like Jeff Gorton's been saying some more things about Demidov than I think some other people and even Kent Hughes a little bit. But to hear that pretty much directly is a bit of a shocker. I'll play some Demidov highlights because we all love watching this from his most recent game. But to hear straight up this is why we want him over here. We want the control of him so that we can control his development. He's basically straight up saying that in SKA, they're not playing him as much as Montreal wants him to play. And in an ideal world, Demidov would be over here right now with the Montreal organization. And that is a comment, while not directly said, is something that we also haven't even necessarily heard mentioned. Yeah, we obviously know the Habs saying, yeah, we'd love to have him over here, blah, blah, blah. But we've heard that Montreal and SKA have worked together. Roman Rottenberg, well-respected. They're going back and forth. They have training regimen for him. But then it seems to me now, this is just one little quote from an interview. And in the context of the interview, he didn't seem like angry or anything like that. So, all things considered, it seems like it's okay. They're just going to wait. They said they really like what they have in him. They're going to be patient, see what happens. Can't wait for him to get over here. But I can't help but have this little irking feeling inside of me that Montreal is not very happy with what they see over there. And these comments kind of reaffirm it. So I'm going to move quickly on from this topic. But let me know what you think of Jeff Gorton's comments. Because to me, they did catch me a little bit off guard. But we're going to quickly and finally move into the final topic of this video. Now, we got to talk about some changes that are probably going to be coming to the Montreal Canadiens lineup. And the first thing I want to do, though, is start with Jayden Struble. Marty San Luis said today, Jayden Struble is officially good to go. Now, we will not know until October 17th, likely the morning skate around to see who's going to be playing. My guess is it's going to be Struble, though. So we're going to start with this change that I think. And I want you, right now, watching this video, first of all, leave a like on the video. It helps us a lot. But second of all, leave a comment. My feeling right now, and you might be watching this after it's certain whether he's going to play or not, but my feeling is he is going to play. And I think he's going to replace Justin Barron. I think we're going to see an Arber, Xhekaj, Jayden Struble pairing. And I think we're going to see Matheson, Guhle. And I think we're probably going to stick with Hutson, Savard. Or maybe we have Hutson, Struble. That could be something interesting, too. Actually, now that I say that, that's not the craziest thing in the world. Because they can both kind of play either side. We saw Hutson play right D. You're seeing my brain turn in real time in this video right now. But let me know who you think is going to come out of the lineup for Struble. Even if it's not against LA on Thursday, it might be against some other team that we play very soon. So whenever Struble does draw into the lineup, which is inevitable, he's going to have to replace someone. And to me, that's one of the biggest changes Montreal needs. Because right now, I don't know if you guys saw on Reddit and a few other places, they do like good team of the week and bad team of the week based on players' game scores. And of the 6 defensemen on the worst team of the week, Montreal had 4 of them. It was all the defensemen minus Guhle and Hutson. So Montreal's defense needs a boost, especially on the defensive end. It's an end where Montreal has just not been able to get it going. They are struggling to exit their own zone. They're not as physical, except for very small spurts of games where they're physical enough to really control the other team and kind of knock them off the puck, this and this. Montreal needs that level of physicality that Jayden Struble is able to present. Not to mention, he is a solid guy at getting pucks out of his own zone and also has a little bit of offensive upside. So to me, I think it'd be really cool to see him paired with Lane Hutson. We'll see. I know Hutson Guhle is the pairing we all want to see. It's the pairing that has the best metrics by far of any Habs defensive pairing, but he's going to draw into the lineup. So I want you guys to let me know who you think he draws in for. But it's the other thing that I also wanted to talk about, and that's Kirby Dach. Now, Jeff Gorton also had some other comments about Kirby Dach, but there were some worries this morning because Marty St. Louis, when asked about Kirby Dach, because Kirby wasn't at practice, he said, I don't know if he's good, if he's going to be good to play tomorrow. It was like kind of a weird thing because Kirby was a therapy day, and don't forget, guys, his knee was destroyed last year, and he's now playing, 6 games in 8 nights or something crazy like that for Montreal. Maybe it's not that much, but it's a pretty brutal start to the season, let's be honest. The schedule is really tight. And to have a guy coming off surgery, finally being back at the NHL level, and they put through this early season, he deserves a therapy day. He deserves a game off here and there, especially if he's feeling sore. So to me, even if he takes a game off, it doesn't matter. But Jeff Gorton actually did say on TSN 690 that he's expecting Kirby Dach to play tomorrow. Beginning of the season was always going to be challenging coming off his injury, which is very true. However, this does raise some questions because, like I said, I don't think it's impossible that Kirby just takes some games off here and there. And I don't even necessarily think it's going to be because he re-aggravates an injury. Now, I know he's probably going to want to play in every game. When you miss a lot of games, you want to play as much as you can. But if he does maybe get some soreness, right, you're going to have some kind of ill effects. I mean, who knows? Maybe his rehab went incredibly well. There's a bunch of factors. But if he does take a game off, what ends up happening? Because Jeff Gorton did say also on TSN 690 that, look, we knew it was going to take some time for Kirby to really get going this season. First game of the season against Toronto, he looked good. He hasn't quite looked at that, like, bona fide number 2C level for these last few games, but we have lots of time. We have lots of time to figure that out. And Gorton said, hey, look, we knew it was going to take him some time this year coming off that injury, coming off a season where you didn't play, coming off multiple seasons where he just hasn't really had a full season. So we're going to have to wait and see with him. But if he does end up maybe drawn out of the lineup because of an injury, what happens to that second line? I mean, to me, Newhook's the natural shift to center, but I think one of those wingers could straight up easily be someone like an Oliver Kapanen or someone like an Emil Heineman. Maybe I'm getting crazy. Maybe it's as simple as saying Galley or Josh Anderson, or maybe you call up Joshua Roy to fill a Kirby Dach-sized hole in the lineup. I don't know, but it has me questioning things. Regardless, that's not a problem for the game on Thursday versus LA, but for the future, I mean, you never know with Kirby Dach. I wish him the best health, and I want Montreal to do everything that they can to make sure that he is feeling at his best when we need him. We don't need him for 82 games this season. It'd be ideal, but if it means for him to feel better, to have better health, to have less soreness, to have less risk of injury long term, I wouldn't mind it. But let me know your thoughts on all this stuff down below. There's a bunch of stuff happening with Montreal, and we got a big game versus the LA Kings to try and get back over 500 on the season. I know you guys are all going to be tuning in to that post-game video, right? That'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and thank you all so much for the support we've been receiving lately. It really means a lot. I've been your host, Josh Gosse. I'll catch you in the next one.